As protectors of the entire universe, the Green Lantern Corps have got some pretty wild villains, but even these are a little much. 10. Ranks. This villain was prophesized to be the end of the Green Lantern Corps. The sentient planet Ranks was apparently one day going to go out with a bang, ending itself and taking the Corps down with it. The planet became inhabited by ruffians and thugs that all hated the GLs. It eventually joined the evil Sinestro Corps, but in the end, the Green Lanterns are still kicking. 9. Molly Mayne. Have you ever crushed on someone so hard that you become a criminal? Molly Mayne has, and it actually worked out. Enemies to Lovers crew, you're gonna love this one. Molly developed a crush on Alan Scott's Green Lantern, so she decided to become the small-time criminal Harley Quinn to get his attention. Apart from a color combo that hurts the eyes, she was otherwise harmless and ended up actually marrying the hero. 8. The Fool. This ridiculous Green Lantern villain almost got the hero kicked off the team. The Fool lives up to his name. He commits seemingly foolish actions and takes seemingly worthless objects as his crimes. And yet, he outsmarted Alan Scott's Green Lantern time and time again. The villain escaped prison, flying out on a bubble, and uses toy-like gadgets to carry out his not-so-stupid nefarious deeds. In the end, GL was not removed from his detective team, as the man that suggested the action was actually the Fool in disguise, straight to jail. 7. The Aerialist. This Green Lantern villain went from being a literal circus clown to the most incredible aerialist you've ever laid eyes on. Sorry, Dick Grayson, but this man could perform aerial feats without even grabbing onto anything, thanks to the magnetic motors incorporated into his suit. He did it all in the name of love, and when that love was taken from him, he swore revenge and planned to let Hal Jordan take the fall. Jordan defeated the villain using static electricity, and he now sits heartbroken in jail. 6. Breakdown. Green Lanterns can essentially create anything with their rings, while Breakdown can essentially destroy anything. He can break down the molecules and rearrange them to be whatever he wants. Happens to a chair? Whatever. To a person? That is diabolical. The villain created his own villainous squad called the Burners, and he faced off against Guy Gardner in the Jail International. Ultimately defeated by being ripped apart, but actually not in the molecule sense. 5. Javelin. This Olympic athlete turned evil and no one knows why. You're going to guess pretty quick what his sport was based on his villain alias, Javelin. He created a variety of spear-like weapons. I mean, when you train as long as Olympians do, you better use the skills, even if it's for crime. He faced off against Hal Jordan and thwarted the hero at first, but ultimately was defeated. He ended up joining the Suicide Squad, seemingly died 3 times, and then was taken out by Supergirl in the end. 4. The Crumbler. The Crumbler intended to make his own modern-day radioactive Pompeii by attacking a nuclear plant with the hopes that the wind would carry the toxic ash miles. As a child, Alex's father thought science was useless, so he was forbidden from science, and well, look how that turned out. Should have just let him make the baking soda volcano. In the end, the plant did expel all its ash, but Hal Jordan created a giant green vacuum and sucked it all up. Easy peasy, the ash went to space and the villain to jail. 3. White Star. This Green Lantern villain tricked the hero into helping him commit crimes. White Star, the rodeo king, posed as a cowboy superhero to gain the trust of Alan Scott's Green Lantern. Once he had it, he convinced GL that they needed to break into a bunch of high-security buildings to catch the bad guys. Little did GL know, he was actually breaking into those buildings so the bad guy, White Star, could rob them. 2. The Juggler. This villain takes juggling pins where they have never gone before. It's hard juggling a job and a life of crime, so why not combine the two and become a criminal that fights using juggling? Circus performer turned criminal was a surprisingly popular trope in the 40s. The Juggler faced off against Alan Scott's Green Lantern. He had weaponized juggling pins and a juggling pin-shaped car to aid him, but it wasn't enough in the end and he was never seen again. 1. Mr. First. You get why he was in first place? This Green Lantern villain has a very important family legacy to uphold, being first in everything. Adam Adams' family name comes first in the alphabet, so therefore they must be first all the time. Mr. First decided that his legacy required him to become public enemy number 1 and also the first man to beat Green Lantern. Of course, he failed, but he did become the first inmate at a new prison.
Number 10, we have Jason and Jenny Allen. Now, if you're not familiar with this pair of twins, don't fret too much because there is little information about them out there. However, their control over the emotional electromagnetic spectrum makes them incredibly interesting, and that is why I included them on this list today. We get introduced to them in the Justice League Legacy storyline that takes place in an alternate future where the children of the Justice League fight off the darkness, a large mass of pure negativity that possesses the Justice League and causes the downfall of their world. As the kids of Barry Allen and Jessica Cruz, both Jason and Jenny possess green power rings, making them the Green Lanterns of this timeline. However, what really sets them apart is their ability to create hard light constructs of different colors despite not possessing those power rings. With both possessing the potential to wield all the colors of the emotional spectrum, Jenny has shown the ability to create yellow, orange, and blue light constructs, and Jason has created red and blue light constructs as well, making them both some of the most adaptable lanterns out there. Now, if you want to check them out for yourself, they appear for the first time in 2017's Justice League Volume 3, number 26. Coming in at number 9, we have Green Lantern from Earth 9. Sometime after the death of the second Atom on Earth 9, we are introduced to a sudden wave of superhuman champions, and among them is the heroine known as the Green Lantern, or Lady of the Lantern. However, her origins are not really known, and there are actually 3 theories on who her secret identity is. The first says that she's the murdered archaeologist Lois Lane, and after her body was dumped in the Atlantic Ocean, she was found by mermaids or angels or something, and was revived and given the powers that she has now. The second states that a pair of twin sisters, one good and one evil, fought a battle over some mystical powers. The good sister won and placed the mystical power in the lantern, and then she dedicated herself to fighting forces that make others suffer. The third and final, and probably the most probable in my opinion, is that she is the sorceress Zatanna, who is sent on a mission by the Dark Circle of Magicians to find the lantern. After many years, when she finally found it, she decided to keep it for herself, and well, the rest is kind of history. Either way, the mystery around her origins makes her all the more interesting, and man, I just really want to know more. Equipped with the Green Lantern, an old Chinese-style lantern suspended from a hook, she possesses the ability to teleport, travel dimensions, and even resurrect the dead for a short period of time so they can carry out any unfinished business before fully passing on. Designed by Dan Jurgen with the intent of creating a unique and very, very old Green Lantern, why not check her out for yourself in 1997's Tangent Comics Green Lantern number 1. Coming in at number 8, we have Jade. As the daughter of the original Green Lantern and his foe Thorn, Jennifer Lynn Hayden has the ability to harness the power of the Starheart, which was the main power source of her father's powers. Making her first appearance back in 1983 in All-Star Squadron number 25, she briefly served as Earth 2's Green Lantern after she was given a power ring from Kyle Rayner when she briefly lost her powers. However, they were eventually restored to her during Rayner's brief tenure as the godlike being Ion. Like her father, she is capable of creating green hard-light objects thanks to the star mark on her palm, and she can fly. However, what really sets her apart from other lanterns is that she has no need to recharge her powers thanks to her connection to the Starheart, and she also shares powers with her mother as well. Thanks to these extra powers, she can manipulate plants at her will, and her skin actually contains chlorophyll, allowing her to use photosynthesis like a plant. She met an untimely death at the hands of Alexander Luthor Jr., however, while trying to stop him from tearing the universe into a multiverse, but was eventually resurrected by the Black Lantern Corps during the Blackest Night, and that kind of led to her being killed again by Kyle Rayner by blowing her head off. Check out her origins for yourself, and well, why not let me know what you think in the comments below. Number 7, Harold Jordan, aka the Power Ring. Hailing from Earth 3, a universe where the morality of most heroes and villains are flipped, we have Harold Jordan, a feeble and cowardly man who worked as a janitor at Ferris Aircraft. Wielding the Ring of Volthoom, a ring that feeds off his fear and panic instead of willpower, Harold was an incredibly powerful crime lord and a member of the crime syndicate. Giving him powers similar to all other lanterns, he had the ability to create hard-light constructs. However, there was one major drawback that he realized during his time with the syndicate. He realized that although the ring was giving him the power he had always dreamed of, it was slowly killing him, and he could never summon the courage or will to remove it himself thanks to his cowardice nature. During a fight with the Injustice League, Harold is finally freed from the ring. However, it did cost him his life as he had his arm ripped clean off his body by Sinestro. Although he physically died, his consciousness was actually transferred to the Green Realm, a world made completely out of concentrated fear, and he still lives on to this day, holding on to the hope that his world can one day be saved. Making his first appearance in 2013's Justice League Volume 2 number 23 as part of the New 52 DC Universe, why not give his story a read for yourself? Number 6, Jessica Cruz. During the crime syndicate's rule on Prime Earth, Jessica Cruz is unwillingly and forcefully chosen to be the next and final wielder of the Ring of Volthoom thanks to her PTSD and debilitating anxiety. Completely under control of the ring, she was forced to attack her hometown, but thanks to Batman and the other Justice League and all their kind words, she was able to overcome the power of the ring and take control fully. Under the tutelage of Hal Jordan, she was fully taught how to control her ring and eventually mastered the use of it. Unfortunately, killed by the Black Racer during the events of the Darkseid War after jumping in the path of the Black Racer to save the Flash, she was freed from the Power Ring's control as it was completely destroyed alongside her. Impressed by her ability to overcome fear, she was then tracked down, resurrected, and given a Green Lantern ring, making her the Earth's newest Green Lantern alongside her soon-to-be crime-fighting partner, Simon Baz. Now, the two didn't always get along. However, after being forced to work together after Hal merged their power battery into one, the two did learn to accept each other's differences and work together after many close calls. Check out Jessica Cruz as Power Ring and the Green Lantern for yourself, starting with 2014's Queen's Justice League Volume 2, number 30. Coming in at number 5, we have Simon Baz. Mentioned briefly just a little bit ago, let's talk about the former street racer and car thief turned Green Lantern. After the horrible event that occurred at the World Trade Center, Simon and his family found themselves under extreme suspicion due to the color of their skin, leading him to be, bullied for most of his life. Despite these hardships, Simon was able to finish all of his schooling and eventually became an engineer. However, he was fired thanks to a financial crisis, and desperate for money, he turned to the streets and started street racing. One night, he accidentally stole a van full of explosives and a high-speed chase ensued, ending in his arrest due to him being a suspected member in an unrelated attack. Even though Simon pleaded he was innocent, everything he said was ignored, but his will was strong enough to summon a Green Lantern ring, albeit, a defective one, to help him break out of jail. Now possessing the powers of the Green Lantern, Simon was able to track down the true owner of the van and bring him to justice with the help of Agent Fed. Now, as I mentioned earlier, Simon eventually teams up with Jessica Cruz to help keep the Earth safe from any danger that comes his way. But one thing that really sets Simon apart from the other Lanterns is he actually possesses two incredibly rare abilities that few Green Lanterns have. One being Emerald Sight, which allows him to see glimpses of the near future, allowing him to prepare for anything that comes his way, and the other being the ability to heal others through sheer willpower. Something that was, thought to be completely impossible until right then. First appearing in 2012's The New 52 FCDB Special Edition number 1. Give his story a read for yourself, I'm sure you'll all really like it. Number 4, Guy Gardner. From the Prime Earth universe, we're going to be talking about Guy Gardner, the colorblind, ring-swapping Green Lantern of Sector 2814. Estranged from his father and, most of his family after resigning from the Baltimore Police Department, it's needless to say that Gardner has some underlying daddy issues that he will probably never address. After his brother was shot during a drug bust, Guy rushed him to the hospital in hopes of saving his life. However, he wasn't fast enough. But luckily for him, on his way, he was found by a Green Lantern ring thanks to his overwhelming ability to overcome great fear, and that allowed him to get his brother safely to the hospital. As the only Green Lantern on Earth at that time, Guy had a lot of responsibility on his shoulders. However, not everyone was on his side when it was revealed that the Guardians were secretly sabotaging him from behind the scenes. Gardner was eventually asked by Hal Jordan after the battle against the Third Army to go undercover and join the Red Lantern Corps, and in no time he actually became their leader and changes almost everything for the better by keeping everyone and everything safe from Atrocitus and allowing the Red Lanterns to cause only justice-based murders. Later, he once again joins forces with the Green Lanterns to defeat Relic, and Guy and the Red Lanterns are given guardianship over Sector 2814 alongside Simon Baz. Check out his New 52 appearance in 2011's Green Lantern Corps Volume 3 number 1, or if you want to see him in his very first appearance, take a look at 1968's Green Lantern Volume 2 number 59. Number 3, Kyle Rayner. Another Prime Earth inhabitant, Kyle Rayner is the 4th human Green Lantern and one of the most powerful to ever exist, having also been a White Lantern and a host of Parallax and Ion. In addition to his green power ring, Rayner was actually chosen to wield the other 6 rings of the emotional electromagnetic spectrum, making him the hybrid lantern for quite some time, before he was overwhelmed by the sheer power and all his rings, aside from his green and orange ones, were destroyed. During the rise of the Third Army, we see Kyle prepare for a fight with the Guardians of the Universe, and he sets out to master the powers of all the other rings, beginning with the Red of Rage. Later during the events of Lights Out, we see him wield the sheer power of the White Light to protect himself against the Relic. However, this did cause the release of the Relic. After an insane journey and a battle with Relic alongside the other lanterns of every single color, Rayner is able to pull the beast through the source wall, causing them to both disappear, until it was confirmed that Relic transformed into a part of the wall. Thought to be dead, the other lanterns returned to their homes, but the Guardians stuck around to see Kyle emerge from the wall, and after learning how, it all works and where their energy supply comes from, the Guardians decide that the information he knows is much too vital and that Kyle's survival has to be kept a secret. Now, obviously there is so much more to Kyle Rayner's story, seeing that he made his first appearance back in 1994's Green Lantern Volume 3 number 48, so I highly recommend you read it for yourself, or maybe start with his New 52 appearance in 2011's Green Lantern New Guardians number 1 if you're looking for a more recent storyline. Number 2, John Stewart. Following in the footsteps of his predecessor Guy Gardner, John Stewart decided to forego a secret identity as the 3rd Green Lantern of Earth. Once an architect, John was selected by the Guardians of the Universe as Hal Jordan's backup after Guy Gardner was seriously injured. Since his first appearance all the way back in 1971's Green Lantern Volume 2 number 87, we've seen John team up with some of the most powerful beings in the universe, including the Justice League, Dark Stars, Indigo Tribe, and even the United States Marine Corps. Although Hal was unsure if John was fit to be a Lantern at first because of his attitude toward authority figures, he has since proven himself time and time again to be worthy of the name Green Lantern, having played a massive role in the Sinestro Corps Wars, the War of Light, the Blackest Night, and the War of the Green Lanterns. However, he has had to do some things that have made him doubt his will, the biggest being the times he's had to destroy not one, but 2 worlds for the greater good. Now, if you're not familiar with John Stewart, Stewart as the Green Lantern, I highly recommend you check out his story for yourself. He was actually the first Green Lantern I had ever heard of, so he does hold a very special place in my heart. And finally, number 1, we have Hal Jordan. Definitely the most well-known version of the Green Lantern and the most deserving of the number 1 spot in my eyes. Hal Jordan is the first human to ever become a member of the Green Lantern Corps and has been regarded on multiple occasions as the greatest Green Lantern of all time. For your sake, I won't go too deep into his backstory and all his accomplishments because we could be here for literal days, but I'll do my best to give you the highlights. Before becoming the Green Lantern, Hal was an Air Force pilot and was chosen by a green power ring for his ability to overcome great fear, you know, like all the other Green Lanterns out there, which led him to becoming the Galactic Police Officer of Sector 2814. As one of the founding members of the Justice League, we've seen him take on the likes of pretty much every major villain in the DC Comics universe. One of Hal's most defining moments as a Lantern, and honestly one of my favorite moments in comic book history, was during the Blackest Night, when Hal became the White Lantern. After Necron separates Sinestro from the entity, Hal actually bonds with it and uses its power to transform the resurrected heroes into White Lanterns, dubbing them the White Lantern Corps, and they defeat Necron by reviving the Black Hand, severing Necron's link to the living plane. Basically, he became one of the most powerful beings in the universe and completely annihilated darkness itself. If you want to hear more about Hal Jordan, you know, his origins and all his adventures, please let me know in the comments below and maybe we'll dedicate an entire video to him. But in the meantime, why not read all about him for yourself, starting with 1959 Showcase number 22.
Number 10. Young Justice. Earth 16 is the designated number given to the reality we see in Young Justice. Despite being an animated series, Young Justice is actually considered to be separate from the main DCAU reality, and is instead its own separate Earth. Here, Hal Jordan is Green Lantern. We first met Jordan in 2010 when the series started, but he continues to appear in the series up until its final season in 2021. This version of Hal here is one of the founding members of the Justice League. Like in the comics, he is also based in Coast City. One of the fun facts that I just find entertaining from this universe is that Hal Jordan is revealed as not liking Guy Gardner. Both he and John Stewart in this reality were very much against having Guy join the Justice League when they were considering adding new members to the roster. Also, I gotta say, I haven't watched Young Justice yet, and it keeps getting recommended to me, so I feel like I really need to watch it. If you have a favorite moment or episode, let me know, because I want to go back and watch all of it. And friends, before we move on to our next spot on this list, if you love what we do here at Top 10 Nerd, why not tell us that you love us by clicking that like button? Seriously, it really helps us out if you do that, so if you want to, then I would like that. Number 9. Earth 5. Hal Jordan of Earth 5 hails from an interesting reality. Here, Hal Jordan is still the hero known as Green Lantern, but what else do we know about him? Not much in terms of his origins, but what we do know is that in this reality, Hal doesn't swear or use profanity, because that's just not a thing that folks do on Earth 5, gosh darn it. He ended up being pitted against 2 other Green Lanterns when he was summoned by the future evil version of Captain Atom, who is known as Monarch. Number 8. Justice League of Assassins. Of course, with the Justice League of Assassins, they were pretty short-lived, appearing in only a single issue where, well, they kinda died, despite being, I would assume, amazing assassins. However, that being said, I think these are characters who ultimately look really cool when it comes to their design, which is why I'm including them here. And I'm sure, you know, before this moment, although we don't get to see much of them, they were all pretty bad. Included among their ranks was their own Green Lantern, who appears to be somewhat cybernetic in terms of his abilities and his look, instead of having just a straight up Green Lantern power ring. Now, this might explain why they didn't make it out alive past their first appearance in the Rebirth Superman issue number 15 from 2017. The Justice League of Assassins hail from Earth number 14. Hopefully we get to see more of Earth number 14 at some point. Number 7. Earth 33. Another version of Green Lantern that I find interesting, along with the world and team he hails from, is a Green Lantern of Earth 33. We don't know his name, but we know his powers are innately magic. He has only made one appearance in Countdown to Adventure issue number 3, but he comes from a really cool team from his Earth known as the League of Shamans. On Earth 33, their version of the Justice League are basically all magic users. The Green Lantern, while magic, still has a Green Lantern ring, and is supposedly also part of a version of the Corps from this reality. Whether the ring is also magic based remains to be completely confirmed here, but it does seem to be implied, at least to me, that Green Lanterns in this world were also based in the world of cosmic magic. At least, that's what it seems to me. Number 6. Abin Sur. On Earth 20, Abin Sur is actually the protector of Earth as Green Lantern. However, tragically, because he resembles a devil here, he actually protects Earth from a distance because he doesn't want to scare the planet's inhabitants. I think that's both sweet and also kinda sad. As such, he protects Earth from the Shadows, a hero who is largely unknown to the planet's populace. Not only is he a member of the Green Lantern Corps in this reality, but he is also a member of the Society of Superheroes, who were brought together by this universe's Dr. Fate, who goes simply by Doc Fate. Abin Sur as Green Lantern is also one of the heroes who joins up with the multiversal superhero team known as Justice Incarnate. Number 5. Star Sapphire. Despite still being known as Star Sapphire on Earth 11, Carol Jordan, an alternate of both Hal Jordan and Carol Ferris, is actually the equivalent to Hal Jordan's Green Lantern of the Prime Earth. Earth 11 is a world in which the premier superhero team of Earth, known as the Justice Guild, is basically gender bent, being made up of mostly female superheroes who are versions of their Prime Earth male counterparts. Wonder Woman, of course, in this reality though, is a man, because that would of course be the gender bend for Wonder Woman, Wonder Man. Despite being the alternate version of this Earth's Green Lantern, however, Carol still remains here a Star Sapphire, but is cemented solely as a hero, so not necessarily Star Sapphire in the sense that sometimes she's kinda evil. Number 4. Tangent Comics. I love the whole look of this character, to be honest. She seems super cool and super mysterious. This version of Green Lantern hails from Tangent Comics, as per the name of this point, obviously. She made her first appearance in Tangent Comics Green Lantern issue number 1 in the 90s. Now, if you aren't familiar, Tangent Comics was actually a DC imprint that existed from 1997 to 1998. It had various one-shot comics that introduced new characters who use names familiar to us through DC Comics mainline, but adding a new creative spin on them. As a result, its characters were super different from the versions that we are used to. Green Lantern herself has claimed to have many different names, including Lois Lane and Zatanna, but her true identity still remains a mystery to us. Her power actually seems to come from a more traditional Chinese lantern as well, so she's quite a different character and quite a different take, which I guess is why I like her so much. Number 3. Alan Scott. Now for this one, we're not talking about the Prime Earth Alan Scott. In fact, you may have noticed I'm actively trying to avoid mentioning any Prime Earth lanterns on this list that, just are not Hal Jordan. We are talking instead about Alan Scott of Earth 2. This version of Alan Scott gained his powers after he almost died as the result of a train crash. Here, Alan Scott specifically uses his Green Lantern powers to fight against the Grey, which is also interesting because his former love, Sam Zhao, actually goes on to become an avatar of the White. Yes, in this reality, Alan Scott is still gay. For any who are wondering, in fact his history here differs somewhat, as he is actually openly gay in this reality, which is a little different. In fact, Alan was about to propose to Sam when the train they were on crashed, ultimately leading to Alan getting his powers after being left as the only survivor. That's right, everyone else was gone, is just Alan left. He was approached by the Green Flame, which told him he was chosen to become the protector of Earth as Earth's Green Lantern. Number 2. Emerald Knight. This alternate version of John Stewart hails from Earth number 3, the home of the crime syndicate. This version of John, however, unlike many others from this universe, doesn't seem to be exactly a supervillain. Although he definitely does kill people and has made some questionable choices for sure, but there's definitely people in this reality that are more villainy than him. Initially, this version of John Stewart was a father and policeman who made a deal with a crime lord in order to get his daughter an emergency operation on her leg that she desperately needed. Although he paid the crime lord back right away, as he obviously did not want to be in debt to him, one night the crime lord's son ran into John and basically mocked him for having ever even made a deal with his father. Furious, John beat the son of the crime boss out back in an alleyway. When his daughter begged him to stop, a ring appeared, presenting itself to him. Because the son was basically at this point threatening to tell his father and promised that John and his daughter would pay with their lives for their actions here, John chose to accept the ring and became an Emerald Knight, one of the overlords of Oa's soldier. A major difference between the Emerald Knights and the Green Lanterns of Prime Earth is that they can severely punish those who are deemed their enemy, often killing them. Number 1. DCAU John Stewart. While we know of John Stewart from the Prime Earth reality, the main continuity currently of the comics, he also has an alternate that hails from the DC animated universe. The animated universe isn't just pulled from one show, but is actually made up of a collection of shows, films, and comics, all exploring the same versions of these characters. It's not even really just its own universe, to be honest. At this point, it's also kind of like its own multiverse, possessing at least 9 of its own different different alternate Earths. Here, John Stewart has a similar origin to his comic book counterpart, serving in the military before later being selected to be a member of the Green Lantern Corps. Part of the reason he actually believes he was selected is because of his time spent reading superhero comics as a kid, which he thinks actually helped him to aspire to become a hero, developing heroic traits and characteristics, and hence therefore being selected to become a Green Lantern.
Number 10. Eamon Sir. Son of, you guessed it, Abin Sur. He grew up to become the person in charge of the Black Circle crime syndicate, and he decided that was how he would get back at his father for choosing the Green Lantern Corps and abandoning him. But luckily, Kyle Rayner and a second-generation guardian of the universe named Lyanna stopped his evil doings. I mean, I don't blame the guy. He grew up with hatred in his bones. I mean, it's not just gonna go away one day. So he ended up hashing it out with Hal Jordan after Hal had returned from Parallax's influence. So Hal thankfully defeated the troubled youth, but Amon was actually given a duplicate of Sinestro's ring from the Guardians. And then, poof, he vanished. So Hal brought back the body of Eamon to bury, and after he left, there was a yellow light in the sky, and it's presumed that that yellow light was him coming back to visit his father's grave. How sweet. So during the Sinestro Corps War, the Book of Oa was rewritten. So now Green Lantern Corps officers can actually use deadly force. So in one story, he fled Space Sector 2814 and he wanted no part of that, right? So a group of the Lost Lanterns went to the planet Varva and found out that recently Eamon had killed the civilians. So Green Lantern Lyra used her ring and these new rules and got even with him. So he's not a nice guy in more than one issue. And before we move on to number 9, if you guys could go ahead and toss us a like on this video, that would be the best because it goes a long way for us here at the studio. You guys rock. Now back to some more Children of Lanterns. Number 9. Sarko. Savior of the Sinestro Corps, making his first appearance in Hal Jordan in the Green Lantern Corps issue 19. Sarko is the son of Zoranik Natu and Kyle Rayner at some point in the future. See, in the time he's born, he's the last advocate of the yellow light of fear, so only Green Lanterns remain. So his big plan was to go back in time and prevent the Sinestro Corps from ever being dissolved. Not a bad plan. You can catch him in action in Hal Jordan in the Green Lantern Corps Volume 1 from issues 19 to 23. You can pound it all out in one day. Super good. Number 8. Orisha Rab. Age is just a number, right? I mean, we can always use willpower to speed things up if need be. And that's exactly what our girl Orisha Rab did. She made her first comic book appearance in Tales of the Green Lantern Corps issue 1 back in 1981, and her father, Fentera Rab, was a Green Lantern before her. So at a young age, she hit the books, right? She wanted to be the best replacement for her father when that time came. And she read up on Hal Jordan and then boom, she of course had a huge crush on him, as we all would reading up about the young chap. But she was really young, like Hal would refer to her as little sister sometimes in the comics. She was 14 years old, so yeah, that was an immediate no-go. But she tried to argue that because of the difference of years and planets, she actually was 28 in comparison, but yeah, he didn't really buy into that. So she changed her outfit up, tried to get his attention, you know, doing the cool poses, trying to wave the hair back and forth, really playing it up, but nothing happened until her will to become older was so strong that the ring made it happen. Yeah, she magically aged, and the next thing you know, they're making out all around town. Comics, am I right? Number 7, Obsidian. Making his first appearance in All-Star Squadron issue number 25 back in 1983, Obsidian, aka Todd James Rice, is the son of Green Lantern Alan Scott and Thorn. He has a twin sister named Jade, who I'll get into in a little bit. We have a lot of twins on this list. His powers are quite unique. They were passed down to him from his father after he battled Ian Karkull and was exposed to the shadow energy. So now Obsidian can possess the power of shadows. So he taps into the dark energy of the Shadowlands and can even merge with his own shadow and make this 3-dimensional shadow being. God, Peter Pan would have a field day there. And here's my favorite part of Obsidian. He can link minds with his twin sister Jade. So he can also tap into your biggest fears by using your shadow. And then he gets into your head and then causes you emotional agony. So you don't want to get on his naughty list, that's for sure. Number 6, Jade. Of course, we gotta talk about her as well. The other twin, Jennifer Lynn Hayden, the twin sister of Todd, who is also quite the character with a different yet still very intimidating selection of powers. She made her first debut also in Star Squadron issue 25, and when she first reunited with her brother Todd, they both wanted to be like their father Alan Scott, so they tried to join the Justice Society but were rejected. But don't worry, because they joined other children of other members and made Infinity Inc. She got her powers from her father, right? And they were pretty obvious too that they were handed down. She could glow green, create these energy constructs, but she also inherited the power of plant manipulation from her mother. So she can affect gravity, light, radiation, heat. I mean, when it comes to super siblings, these two do not play around. Like I said, they can communicate through forms of telepathy, so you're outgunned and outplayed. Number 5, Warhawk. First appearing in an episode of Batman Beyond, Warhawk is the future son of John Stewart and, you guessed it, Hawkgirl. He works with the new Batman in the Justice League Unlimited. So Rex Stewart here is a cross between human and Thanagarian. So he has these abilities like flight and super speed, and this super son is not an easy feat, especially seeing those retractable claws in action. Oof. He's said to be quite stern and impulsive as well, so he's quite the character. And he actually didn't trust Batman at first. See, originally, Batman had been added to the group by Superman to help find out the reason Micron was ambushed, okay? There was a traitor amongst the group. That plus the idea that Batman was barely able to prevent an assault on Aquagirl, things were looking kind of fishy. Warhawk was looking his way. So Warhawk decided to operate his armor through remote controls, figuring he was eventually going to be attacked by said traitor. So when he got a call about an incoming warhead, he told Batman to stay back, and then he handled it. And the real traitor happened to be a Starro-controlled Superman all along. See, it's not Batman, he's a nice guy, he's just mysterious and wears capes. Who doesn't? Number 4, Saranac Nadu. Making her first appearance in Green Lantern Corps Recharge, issue 1, Saranac Natu was given a willpower ring from the Guardians of the Universe in order to protect Sector 1417. And she's an outstanding neurosurgeon. She actually was bestowed the ring right in the middle of an operation, like right in the middle of a shift, like it was happening right there, and then this thing popped up, which is just great timing. So her mother was Aaron Sur from Ungara, and she was the sister of Abin Sur. And her father, Sinestro, well, he used to be the greatest Green Lantern ever until he turned evil. She made her first debut as Sinestro in Green Lantern Corps Annual Volume 3, Issue 1 in 2013 as well. Number 3, Tai Pham. If the ring chose me for my strength, why does everybody act like I need a babysitter? Amen, that's what I'm talking about. The classic I'm too tough for a babysitter act might only fly if you're a Green Lantern, or young Green Lantern. He's actually one of the youngest Green Lanterns ever, only being 13 years old. And he is the grandson of Green Lantern Kim Tran. He's actually one of the only second generation Green Lanterns ever. So after John Stewart and the Guardians both confirmed, he officially became a Green Lantern, and even at his young babysitting age, he's now the proud protector of Coast City. Green Lantern Legacy is actually the first time that the character has been depicted as Asian American, and you can catch that story that premiered earlier this year in March. Or early in 2020 in March. Sorry, I just keep forgetting about 2020. Weird. Number 2, Nora Allen. Making her first debut in Justice League Volume 3, Issue 26, Nora Allen is the daughter of Barry Allen and Jessica Cruz. She's the older sister of the twins Jason and Jenny Allen, so she inherited super speed from her father, while the twins got more of the Lantern side of the powers, you know? Hence her name, Cruz, like Cruz, yeah, you got it. The speedster of the Future League, which actually came as a shock to comic book fans, especially fans of course, Iris West. And when she was just a child, she would run alongside her father. They had a super fast super blast together. But after a superhero war with Sovereign killed many people, her parents included, she had to step up and was joined by Aquaman. So she joined the other children of the League and set out to save the day. All these kids are so inspiring. And finally, number 1, the twins. Jenny and Jason Allen, who I mentioned previously, are the twins of Jessica Cruz and Barry Allen. They wear clothing with the Green Lantern symbol. See, Jenny wears it as like a scarf material that's stitched onto the front, while Jason has the logo painted onto his jacket. So no tights this time around, which we're always okay with. They're a bit different than Barry's other twins, Dawn and Dawn. See, Jason commands the red light of rage and Jenny commands the yellow light of fear. which are the same colors used by their father, the whole red and yellow, so that's fun. So the painted Green Lantern symbol is just to pay homage to their mother Jessica Cruz, who never actually accessed any other spectrums. So these passed down powers are actually quite a mystery. They also don't need to use a ring to create constructs either. They can just use their hands, like every cool magician. Well, more on that is explained in the Lightfall event, but Jason Allen once went toe-to-toe with an evil version of Aquaman from their future, and he was shown creating hard light constructs of red light, which is rage, and his sister used hard light constructs of yellow light, fear. And the best part of these two is that they can both potentially wield all of the colors of the lights of emotion. Notably, this one time the twins emitted a blue light while they were asleep in Jessica's apartment, which is just wild, and it's why I had to throw them on number 1. We love interesting twins here. Coming in at number 10, Simon Baz. First appearing in the New 52 FCDB Special Edition number 1, he's a Lebanese-American born in Dearborn, Michigan. After seeing the attacks of the World Trade Center on the news when he was only 10 years old, he and his family faced ostracism because they were Muslim. His sister even got bullied and attacked physically, so Simon would have to intervene. And as years went on, he got an engineering degree, and shortly after that, a job at an automotive plant. After the financial crisis, he was let go and had to resort to stealing cars and reselling the parts just to make ends meet. He was also a great street racer and even made some dough that way. Accidentally stealing a truck filled with explosives, Simon ends up getting arrested and they suspected him as a terrorist, sending him over to Guantanamo Bay. Ignoring his pleas of innocence, Simon was nearly tortured. It was then a Green Lantern ring popped into the room to save the day, removing him from the facility. So what makes Simon stand out? I mean, besides his strong origin story, he has emerald sight. Yeah, that's right, Simon Baz can see glimpses of the future. He also used to carry a gun with him even while wielding the Green Lantern ring. Why? Well, because he didn't trust a whole lot of people, and he wanted to back up in case the ring failed him, which it did a couple of times. The ring itself, it's actually 2 rings forged into 1. Come again? So when Hal Jordan and Sinestro were imprisoned in the Black Hand's Black Lantern ring, the 2 rings actually fused together, and the ring chose Frank Leminski first. Frank had purposely gotten a job at Arkham Asylum because he knew the ring picked its host based on willpower and overcoming fear. And it worked out for a bit because it ultimately decided that it made a mistake and found none other than, you heard it, Simon Baz. Number 9, Guy Gardner. Making his first appearance in Green Lantern Volume 2, number 59, Guy Gardner was chosen to be the backup for Hal Jordan. The ring says you gotta have courage and willpower, but is it possible to maintain those characteristics whilst being a bad guy? A bad guy? Got him. Turns out it is very possible. While the events of the Blackest Night unfolded, Green Lanterns were exposed to other rings, and with his temper issues, he was bestowed the Red Lantern ring. He actually had both at one point. Christmas colors, fun, how beautiful. I mean, this guy may be a bit of a meanie, but ultimately with his willpower, he's proven that he can still be a hero after all. Nice. See, this is a character arc I would love to see in theaters. We need more Green Lantern movies like this. I mean, even in his early life, Guy was abused by his father Ronald. And I feel like these character arcs and backstories are important to see, especially when anger and willpower are balanced in his life story. These origins are relatable. Make it happen. Number 8, Chip. This one is too fun not to include. Making his first appearance in Green Lantern Volume 2, issue 149, Chip is, well, look it up, obviously. So basically, the Crapster army invaded Sector 1014, and once they killed that Green Lantern, Dr. Abex took his army and went to his homeworld, Hyven. This little man Chip was sentenced to death to set an example. Don't do it, look at him, please. He was the leader of the Hyvenite resistance, so it made sense to do it, I guess. Chip was then visited by one of the Guardians of the Universe, gave him a Green Lantern ring, and Bob's your uncle. So one thing I love about this dude is that he's a chipmunk, squirrel looking thing. He's so cute, and as you may have noticed, but that doesn't stop him from killing it. Yeah, he just rocked Hal Jordan. I'm a fan of Chip. He even took on the Man of Steel himself in an Injustice Gods Among Us storyline. He attacked Superman by going after his mind. I feel like if you have a movie with this guy, it'll feel similar to how Rocket was portrayed in Guardians of the Galaxy. At first people are like, he's a little fluffy cute thing, and then bam, you get punched in the head like 10 times. Number 7, Slack. Who's next on our list? None other than Chip's best friend. Slack is this cool looking 4-armed alien Green Lantern from Sligia, one of them's right, who is a protector for the Book of Oa. He's quite tall. has pink skin, and a beak-like mouth. Making his first debut in Green Lantern Volume 2, issue 149, Salak is actually second in command, right behind the Guardians of the Universe. Nice. He's a veteran with his power ring, so he doesn't really rely on it until he absolutely needs it. He's a pessimist and he's kind of a loner. I mean, aren't we all at some point? Come on. His importance doesn't go unnoticed. Being the protocol officer of the Corps, he plans missions and answers to none other than the Guardians of the Universe. It's kind of cool having your boss the Guardians of the Universe. Nice. And as I said earlier, his best friend is Chip. So once Salak was too late stopping the execution of Sinestro, so the OA battery ended up being destroyed, making his ring inoperable. So he headed to Hyven to reunite with Chip, whose ring was one of the few that still worked. Clutch! So Salak acted as an advisor to him. What a power duo. I'd love to play Salak in a movie. I feel like I have the lankiness. I don't know. What do you think? He's taller than me. I mean, he's like 7 feet. I'm not too far off. Maybe. We'll see. Number 6, Chaselon.
Your species have any problem with that?
No, my arms are non-organic. I do, however, get silica mites.
Fascinating.
Perhaps we could consume refreshment together and speak of our adventures.
That's a cool looking thing. Making his first appearance in the Green Lantern Volume 2, number 9, Chaselon is a being that can use 13 senses rather than our normal 5. The Green Lantern of Sector 1416 has a different appearance than usual, as you may have seen. I mean, look at him. So what exactly is this dude's deal? Well, he's from Barrio 3, which is a world where crystal life forms have dominated. So he's a sentient crystalline sphere, and like I said, can use 13 senses. Unreal. This dude's powers are super underrated, okay? He was given a power ring by the Guardians of the Universe due to his extensive willpower. He's also a member of the Alpha Lantern Corps and the Dark Stars, an intergalactic police force. Number 5, Hanu. Making its first appearance in Green Lantern Volume 3, issue 49, and also appearing in the 2011 Green Lantern film, Ayo, Hanu is a beast of brute force. He's originally from the planet Ovicron 6. The warriors there think that using a weapon is overrated, it's frowned upon. They say a weapon makes you weak. Okay, super badass. So he relies on his own strength rather than the ring. That's cool. Yeah, I have a ring, but you know, I'd rather just punch you in the head. It's easier. This sure did come in handy when he was freed from a prison from Hal Jordan and Guy Gardner. He tore the place up without even using the ring. And when he does use it, it's insane, okay? So during the Sinestro Corps War, he finally used the ring to punch through Horku. And Horku's the same species as Hanu, so that doesn't shine light on how strong this dude is. I don't know what will. Number 4, Alan Scott. The Golden Age Green Lantern, making his debut in 1940 back in the All-American Comics number 16. He's the first ever Green Lantern, so of course I'm gonna include him in this list. He actually forged a Green Lantern from a meteor. This dude was around even before the Green Lantern Corps, so he's not too popular with the current run of things. So he gets his power in a much different way than all of the other Green Lanterns. He actually uses a ring that's magic based instead of being linked to the central battery on Oa. I feel like we need to see this origin story on this big screen ASAP. It's too cool to ignore. Number 3, Sodom Yat. Making his first appearance in Tales of the Green Lantern Corps Annual number 2 back in 1986, Sodom Yat is a guy from the Daxamite race who are cousins of the Kryptonians. Pretty sweet. Daxamites have similar powers to Kryptonians, but instead of being vulnerable to kryptonite, they're vulnerable to lead. Just basic lead. So if you're gonna take some notes around Sodom, make sure you hide it or else you might kill him. So this guy's loaded. He's basically a god, but no lead. Kinda like no capes, no lead. He doesn't even really need a ring. He's already so strong from the ion entity has given him an unbelievable strength. He always dreamed of being a space explorer, so once he noticed an alien spaceship crash near Earth, he found Tessog, and after his parents caught wind of the new friend, his parents killed Tessog and brainwashed Sodom to forget the whole thing. After seeing Tessog in a museum, dead, he was reminded of the actions that had taken place, so he reconstructed Tessog's ship and then was bestowed the Green Lantern ring. Nice, you did it, full circle. And he became the ultimate Green Lantern and the last member of the Corps. The prophecy came from none other than, drumroll, number 2, Abin Sur. We all remember arguably the best part of the Green Lantern movie, the beginning. We find Abin Sur after he crash landed on Earth before giving the ring to Hal Jordan. The purple alien is portrayed by none other than Jango Fett himself, Tamara Morrison. But who is this character and why is he so important? Making his debut in Showcase number 22, Abin Sur was a Green Lantern from Sector 2814 and was the Green Lantern right before Hal Jordan, as you saw in the movie. So before that, he actually visited Earth a handful of times. He teamed up with an ancestor of Hal Jordan in the American Old West to fight an alien named Traitor. Solid name, very fitting. So why is he flying a spaceship if he has the ring? Well, he was told by the prophecy that his ring would eventually fail him. So he loaded his spaceship up with weapons for when the frightful day comes. And after being attacked by Sinestro and crash landing on Earth, he chose Hal Jordan to bear the ring, as he was closer to his location than Guy Gardner. So close. Hal ended up using the ring to hide the body and his ship underneath a mountain. It's pretty cool. And finally, number 1, Nort. Making his first debut back in 1988 in Justice League International, this cool looking member of the Green Lantern Corps and later on Justice League Antarctica might be my personal favorite. He's a funny little quirky dude. He reminds me of, I don't know, me maybe? Who knows? He's this quirky underdog, literally. Look at him, he's a dog. He instantly reminded me of Peppy Hare from Star Fox, just like this wise looking dude. He's actually disliked by other heroes and is often looked upon as the loser despite how incompetent he may be. Okay, maybe I don't relate to this guy as much as I thought. Or do I? He can't even read a map. So I mean, come on dude, you gotta figure it out. He tries his best though, he's brave and he's super honorable. I feel like a character such as himself would be great to see in live action. I mean, I'm sure there's a lot of people who would relate. He kinda reminds me of Dustin from Stranger Things, the way he wants to help, and he has his moments where he genuinely kicks some ass. Nort's uncle, Newt, pushed him through the Green Lantern training, so he's more than capable when the opportunity arises to do so.
Number 10, Simon Baz. Simon Baz is one of the newer Green Lanterns, though that feels a little bit weird to say now, as he was first introduced in 2012, and we've definitely had quite a few new ones pop up since then. Also, 2012 was almost 10 years ago, wow. Before he was a Green Lantern, he was an engineer turned street racer turned car thief due to the result of the financial crisis. Due to his Muslim origins, being a Lebanese American following the tragedy of 9/11, he had to deal with many people judging him and his family based on his background and how he looked. Because of this, when he was apprehended for attempting to steal a car, he was suspected of being involved in much larger schemes related to national security, and was therefore sent to Guantanamo Bay. Fortunately, it was at that time that he was chosen by his ring to become a Green Lantern. Even while dealing with a ring that was programmed by Sinestro and not really knowing what he was doing because he was super new at the time, he still managed to create constructs when he first came up against the Justice League following a misunderstanding. I think it's pretty impressive that he was even able to make constructs, because I feel like that would be a lot. Number 9, Jessica Cruz. I mean, Jessica has to be one of the most powerful Green Lanterns at this point, especially given, well, everything that she's been through. Jessica started off inheriting the power ring of Earth 3, which was in itself a story. It actually took control of her itself, forcing her to become its host against her own will. In the end, Batman helped her to regain control of herself by sharing with her his experience of finding strength in great moments of tragedy, where he himself had felt like a victim. Jessica would then train with Hal Jordan to gain a better sense of how to use her ring, but only briefly, as Hal was kinda soon after called to space. That was when Simon and Jessica were left alone together with a battery between them to share as they attempted to figure out how to best be superheroes and lanterns together. Hal basically forced them to become partners, and he was like, you two need to figure this out. Jessica also struggles with severe anxiety, which is one of the reasons Simon was kind of frustrated to be paired up with her, at least to begin with. And friends, before we move on to this next spot, if you are loving this list and you love space cops, Green Lanterns as much as I do, please be sure to let us know by giving this video a thumbs up. Also comment below, subscribe, hang out, check out some other videos, you know. Just chill with us for a bit. How are you doing? Put your feet up. Feel good. I don't know what I'm saying anymore. You know, just be cool and hang out with us. We like you. We like you. Stick around. Number 8, Alan Scott. A lot of comic fans may think of Alan Scott as being one of the weakest Green Lanterns because of, well, his weakness to wood, but don't let that fool you. Although his weakness to wood is pretty silly, Alan Scott is still an extremely powerful and unique Green Lantern. He was the first Green Lantern and has since had himself more separated from the general Space Cops Green Lantern Corps in terms of how he operates and how his powers work. I mean, initially when he was introduced with Earth 2, Alan Scott, he wasn't even really connected to the Green Lantern Corps. Because back then, we didn't have to do origin stories and really make everything make sense, but here we are now. Alan Scott's powers actually come from a magical entity that was once the prisoner of the Guardians of the Universe, known as the Starheart. At least if we're going with the New Earth story, which here, we're going with the New Earth story because I like it the best. The Starheart ended up on Earth and saved Alan's life. He wore the entity like a ring, which for many years was the source of his power, and adopted the mantle Green Lantern. Alan has also managed since then to merge with his own battery that he fashioned out of the Starheart. Basically, he fashioned a battery and a ring out of it. In merging with his battery, though, he became even more powerful as he became the power source for his own ring. Which is pretty cool. You gotta respect Alan Scott, that's what I think. Number 7, Kilowog. Kilowog is the main recruiter for the Green Lanterns and is also their head trainer. He pretty much trains all of the new recruits, and with good reason, as he's a very powerful and capable Green Lantern. Kilowog is so powerful that back in the New Earth continuity, when his homeworld, Bolivax Vic, was first destroyed and he was on it, although his ring only instinctively protected him, he actually used his willpower and his ring to capture the billions of life energies of the citizens on his homeworld, storing them within his ring until he could find a new and safe world to release them on. Unfortunately, his homeworld and family would still later be destroyed by Sinestro even after he saved them, but it was still an impressive feat for him to have saved them all the first time around. But it's very sad that they all died anyways. That sucks. Kilowog has a sad story, friends. It's sad. Number 6, Sinestro. Sinestro, before Hal Jordan showed up, was celebrated as the most powerful of all the Green Lanterns. That is, of course, until Hal exposed him as the villain he truly was. Despite the fact that Sinestro is now considered a villain and is the head of his own corps, the Yellow Lantern-based Sinestro Corps, he also deserves respect for just how crazy powerful he is and was as a Green Lantern. There is a reason that fellow Lanterns considered him to be the best. I mean, he even had to go back to being a Green Lantern for a time because he was so skilled and the Guardians needed him. Even though at that point he was already a leader of the Sinestro Corps and he was very happy as such. He was like, I don't really want to go back to being a Green Lantern, and they're like, well, we're the Guardians of the Universe, you have no choice. Also, every time I say Guardians of the Universe, I've been wanting to say Guardians of the Galaxy today. Obviously, I need more Guardians of the Galaxy in my life. I'm not sure what's happening to me. Hopefully I haven't, and I won't say Guardians of the Galaxy in this video, because that would make no sense. Guardians of the Galaxy are not applicable to Green Lanterns. Not at all. No connection. Totally different publishers. Number 5, Jo Malene. Jo probably has some of the greatest potential of all the Green Lanterns we have ever met. She was given a very special kind of ring, one that doesn't actually need a battery but can self-charge on its own. Of course, its charging is slow going, and Jo isn't a master of it yet, but still, it's very impressive. It's like, we're talking like Alan Scott coolness. In Future State, we got to see a glimpse into Jo's possible future where she is a member of the Justice League and also becomes proclaimed as the greatest detective in the entire universe, which is pretty huge. Jo might not be there yet, but she shows so much promise in terms of what she can accomplish with her willpower, even just from what we've seen in Far Sector, that I think she deserves this spot, especially considering how powerful she'll likely go on to become. I'm just saying now, I'm putting my bets down that Jo's gonna be one of the most powerful Green Lanterns of all time. I'm also so ready to see her and Hal Jordan go toe to toe. That is a fight / team up I cannot wait to read. And if you missed that clash of things, that was from Future State Green Lantern issue number 2. It's the last story in there, and woo! Love that story. Number 4, Sodom Yat. Sodom Yat is a Daxamite, an alien race who is similar in terms of abilities, powers, and physiology to Superman's race, the Kryptonians. So basically, Sodom Yat is like if Superman were a Green Lantern in terms of how much natural power he packs. Sodom Yat was also given a rare opportunity to bond with Ion. Ion is the creature within the Green Lantern battery, similar to Parallax with its tie to the Yellow Lanterns or Sinestro Corps, obviously, but not inherently evil like Parallax was, as Ion doesn't feed on fear. I believe only 2 characters have ever been known to bond with Ion, and Sodom Yat was one of them. Also, if you're confused about Ion and the whole creatures thing, it's a whole thing. I'm not really going to get into it, but basically each different type of lantern, each color has their own creature. It's a whole thing. Number 3, Kyle Rayner. Kyle Rayner is a favorite for many fans, and we all know him as the Lantern who is able to tap into the powers of the White Lanterns, which is pretty cool. But did you know that his connection to the emotional spectrum actually extends out beyond even just becoming a White Lantern? And did you know that it was Kyle himself who through his own willpower pushed through to explore the ultraviolet range? He actually pursued becoming a White Lantern in order to put a stop to the corrupted Guardians of the Universe, and along the way unlocked the full range of the emotional spectrum, meaning that Kyle isn't just a great Green Lantern, but can also be a great Lantern of any other color besides, because he is so in tune with all of his emotions. Which of course means he isn't maybe the most powerful Green Lantern, but he's definitely the most powerful in general, all around. We get to see him grow all around as a hero in the New 52 New Guardians series, so if you're wanting to check out that journey, check that series out. He also is one of the very few Lanterns to bond with Ion, the Green Lantern Battery's creature, and their bond is mutual, meaning that both lend one another strength and power. So yeah, him and Sodom Yat, and I'm pretty sure that's it. Number 2, John Stewart. John Stewart has to be high up on our list just for all the insane constructs he's managed to create. At one point, his ring actually told him that his willpower was greater than it could even process. So we are talking off the charts willpower, which has helped John to stand out by accomplishing some pretty mighty tasks. Something else that I love about John Stewart is just the reasoning behind abandoning his mask. John isn't just strong of will, but he's also strong when it comes to his courage in revealing his true identity to the world. He does not wear a mask because he wants to be seen, and he wants other people of color to know that they too can be a hero like him. And I love that. Number 1, Hal Jordan. There might be some weird stuff going on with Hal right now, but it's pretty much guaranteed that we'll all consider him to be one of the strongest Green Lanterns around for as long as Green Lanterns exist in comics. When it comes to Hal Jordan, the thing that makes him stand out above all others is his willpower, which is, you know, kind of the main thing you need as a Green Lantern. One time after he died, his willpower was so strong, he managed to resurrect himself. You know you were crazy powerful when you can just like will yourself back to life. That is some Jean Grey levels of power. And even though he was possessed by Parallax at the time, it was still Hal who was responsible for destroying the central battery on Oa and for killing the entire core, which is obviously awful. I'm not saying it's a good thing, but still, it's a really insane and kind of impressive feat, I think. That's crazy. Hal just was like, boom, you're all gone.
Number 10, Kyle Rayner and Donna Troy. Kyle Rayner was the Green Lantern of the 90s, and for a time the only one after Hal Jordan had snapped and killed the whole Corps. With a neck snap. Well, actually, he only snapped with a neck snap. I was waiting to do the gesture. Kyle was an artist and made elaborate constructs, and also found himself at the center of the Woman in Refrigerators discussion started by writer Gail Simone, when Kyle came home and found his girlfriend in the fridge. But that's not who we're hooking up with today. No, today it's Kyle and Donna Troy, aka Wonder Girl, aka Troya, aka just what is going on. Actually, at this point, she was Dark Star, and her and Kyle found solace in each other after the hurtful dissolutions of each of their relationships. Yes, one was the fridge one. This unfolded mostly in Green Lantern's book. Slowly but surely, Kyle and Donna became friends. She helped him move. They had a mistletoe kiss, and fiction dictates you have to have a date after that. They had their first date on the moon. Kyle knows how to make all your future first dates pale in comparison. This would go on for a while, but Kyle's art came between them. He ruined it. And you know how? Tasteful nudes. He started sketching other women he was attracted to, nude. And well, that's a huge no-no. So these two still had a fondness for each other, but the trust, it's gone. But we've had many retcons since then. Number 9, Hal Jordan and Black Canary. This has happened ever so briefly, and it's considered taboo to some, just a no. Hal is with Carol, and Ollie is with Dina, a name I can never say no matter how many times I hear it, in one ear and out the other. They once tried to introduce a love triangle between Bruce and Black Canary and Ollie, and that just didn't work out. So Hal and Ollie are allegedly really close friends. Best friends in some arcs, despite Ollie hating Hal's job and everything he believes in, and telling him so constantly. However, Hal's like their third wheel, but a welcome one. He comes on their dates, they take him on trips, etc. However, Hal and Black Canary have locked lips before, albeit it was one of those, oh no, the League is acting weird, something is up, who can we trust? However, I think there is potential here, unexplored potential. These two helped Roy overcome his drug addiction. Let this happen. Break with tradition. Subvert expectations, but in a way that I want. Number 8. Jessica Cruz and Batman. So Jessica Cruz is a newer addition to the Green Lantern Corps, and recently deceased, but hopefully not for long at the time of this recording. She's memorable, that's for sure. Initially not having a ring, she was granted one at the end of the Darkseid War in the New 52, as she's just a different take. She has a lot to overcome. Her agoraphobia, her anxiety. She has been linked to many potentials. Her best friend Simon Baz, who has the same name as a Rainbow Rowell character, Barry Allen, because you know it's post-rebirth, so love is dead, Iris who's that. However, she actually made a move on none other than Batman, who she developed a crush on during their time together on the Justice League. He was expelled from the Justice League, or well, was asked politely to quit by Clark in Justice League 38 after he led a mission rather badly. After he decided to resign, Jessica chased him down to the locker room and was all, well, this is about to get complicated, and kissed him. Also, he was engaged to Selena at the time, because well, people don't send memos internally. Now they have that new timeline over at DC and they're all like, no, that happened before. There was no cheating. Sure, Jan. I'm kinda here for it. Her and Bruce, not the cheating. Number 7. Hal Jordan, the Huntress, and Lady Blackhawk. Okay, let's get this threesome out of the way early on. This is never seen and is only referenced in the much maligned and critiqued Cry for Justice. You know the story that killed Leanne Harper for shock value? Well, in it, Green Arrow starts talking to Hal all about how he heard about his drunken threesome with those two birds of prey. And this started an author fight between James Robinson and Gail Simone, who then put in her series that this hadn't happened. She was writing Birds of Prey at the time, and instead she wrote that Hal had got blackout drunk and passed out. Essentially, the characters became pawns in the writer's fight, although not everyone knew that. In fact, not everyone would have read both books, so for some people these would just be things that happened that they would never know were connected. Hookups. Number 6. John Stewart and Vixen. So John Stewart was the Green Lantern who appeared on the Justice League animated series in the DCAU, so for some, their first Green Lantern. He was the first African American hero to appear in DC Comics. In the Justice League Unlimited portion of the series, after breaking up with someone else on this list later on, he would come to be dating Vixen. She's a superhero with the ability to access animal totems. These two would have a solid relationship and be quite the power couple, both fiercely independent but enjoying their time together also. Stewart pulled a Benjamin Sisko in this era too, losing the top hair for a bald head and a beard. It was a good look. More love for John Stewart, I say. Also for Vixen. She's cool, even if the cheesy part of me does love her with Buona Beast. You know, the guy who can fuse animals together and create things that should not be. Spider horse. Number 5. Guy Gardner and Ice. Guy Gardner is a Green Lantern who has had a very large personality shift since his first appearance. At the start, Guy was nice and easygoing, and what writers called terminally bland. Ouch. However, after a head injury, when he returned, he was rude and crude with tons of tude, and that's the persona most people know him as having today. However, this was a fictional head injury, so cartoon logic applies. That being that if you get hit again, you revert to how you were before. And it was during one such reversion, during his time in the JLI, that being the Justice League International, that he took up with Ice, a hero who was, well, ice themed. She was drawn to Guy's sweet demeanor and really fell for him. However, he ended up reverting back to his now default persona, and she was much less into that. However, she stuck around since she felt she had seen the real man within. But she would begin to develop feelings for Superman, who had all the traits she missed in Guy. She would ultimately be killed off in a decision writers have since come to regret, as they don't feel it added anything. Number 4. Hal Jordan and Star Sapphire. The hero part of this only applies in the modern era, as at the start, the Star Sapphire was a villain for Hal. She is Carol Ferris, and at first was unaware she was even transforming into the Star Sapphire, an avatar for the Zamarons. With the Star Sapphires becoming a core proper during the War of Light, they came into a more heroic light. They would fight in the blackest night. And Hal and Carol, for many, their endgame. And their on-again, off-again relationship has come to be one of legend, for those who care about Hal, that is. Personally, I prefer villain to Star Sapphire, but now we have both. Something for everyone. Number 3. Kyle Rayner and Jade. So who is Jade? Well, Jade is the daughter of JSA member and first Green Lantern Alan Scott. She met Kyle because they were roommates, and well, one thing led to another, and they became romantically involved. However, Jade would end their relationship after falling in love with another man. This was because of all the distance between her and Kyle, what with all the space missions and all that. Long distance is hard to maintain. It's a lot. So what happened to Jade? Well, she died, and since New 52 and Rebirth, she has been erased from continuity, so no more Jade. Do you miss Jade? Did you even know she existed? Number 2. Guy Gardner and Bleeze. We have to look at the emotion spectrum again for this one. So initially, there was one Green Lantern color. obviously purple. So we had green, then yellow, but then in the late 2000s, early 2010s, the entire emotion spectrum came into being, and so the colors represented emotions that would power the different rings. And then, they would balance each other out, some would work with some and not with others. It was interesting. And red was rage. In the process of all of this, some characters you knew were assigned other colors for a period of time. Guy found himself in possession of a Red Lantern ring and being hit on by Red Lantern Bleeze. During the Brightest Day arc, the two had to team up, and she found herself drawn to his bloodlust and natural anger, and developed a lust for him because of it. He wasn't too into it though, but still we got some cool panels. Bleeze's design is very hexadecimal. I was here for it. I don't know, I could have done with more of this. I really liked the emotion spectrum. What about all of you? I know some people really don't like it. And number 1, Green Lantern and Hawkgirl, the romance of the Justice League. That reveal where Shiera takes off her Hawkgirl helmet for the first time and all the red hair just comes tumbling down the moonlight. Perfection. So Jon Stewart and Shiera, Hawkgirl, had a flirtation going on throughout the entirety of that series, before it turned into Justice League Unlimited, back when it was just Justice League. She was concerned about him in a gruff kind of whatever, I don't care kind of way. And when the two got together, it was a finally moment, which made what happened next all the more painful, the betrayal. Shiera was an advanced scout for the Thanagarian invasion force. Though she would ultimately turn against her people for the sake of her new home, it would destroy her relationship with Jon, at least for the time being. It was hinted in the DCAU, that being the DC Animated Universe continuity, that the two would get back together and have a child. We learned this courtesy of Batman Beyond. Later, Shiera would come to have a good relationship with Vixen, much to Jon's confusion. It made sense. Shiera was looking to atone and gain everyone's trust back, and resigned to the fact that with some people, Batman, she never would.